Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome. Zach Weiss with you as always. This is your favorite Cavs podcast, or maybe it's not. This is Across the Cavs. If you're in the right place, buckle in. Get ready because we are talking NBA Finals. Shout out Jordan Clarkson turning 31 today. Some memorable moments during his time with the Cleveland Cavaliers. But without further ado, Across the Cavs Network 2, 1, 6. We got the Heat winning this series. Plain and simple. It has been calamity in the NBA Finals. Everyone's like, Denver 2-0. Heat got no chance. They can't do it. Oh, wait a minute. They just did. Just a reminder that when Noah was on with me last week, right after Celtics Heat Game 7, I said Miami in 7. I sounded like a maniac. I sounded crazy. I sounded like someone you can't trust. But guess what? On 5 NBA playoff minutes, gotten 4 victories so far. Kevin Love's on the Heat. He's pretty good in the big games. He's got a title under his belt. Never lost a playoff series before the finals, so we knew after they got past round 1, they were going all the way. It's those silly stats, those fun stats that just come out when you least expect, and all of a sudden, they mean everything. And how great was it? Erik Spoelstra and Ramona Shelburne post-game game 2. You made Jokic a score. Is this a... And he's like, stop, no. That's something the untrained eye would say. The untrained eye. That bark back, though. Now, I know Erik Spoelstra knows ball. We all do. And we know that Ramona Shelburne knows ball. She was trying to get Erik Spoelstra to expose the game plan they had for trying to make Jokic beat them in other ways. So you had to kind of respond like that. Draw attention away from the question and answer differently. But wow, Erik Spoelstra, cold-blooded. Isn't it wild that he's been there over 15 years now? He's won 23 playoff series, top 5 all time. Win after win after win. He just keeps these guys relevant. Remember that year when the Heat were 11-30? This, I think, out of all the Heat seasons with Spoelstra, arguably, not definitively, arguably even more than the 2 rings. To start 11-30. 11-30. In most cases, a team is at that record, they just give up. They're done. Let's get the number 1 pick in the draft. They went 30-11 the rest of the way. And we're going to pull up that season and talk about what the heck happened. This was the 16-17 campaign. The Heat were fresh off a trip to the second round. They'd beaten the Hornets in the first round in that 15-16 season before losing to the Raptors in 7. It was a wild year. A fantastic season. But I want to look back at this 16-17 year where the Heat had the, look at it, 21st scoring offense and the 5th scoring defense. This is their roster. Luke Babbitt, Goran Dragic, Wayne Ellington, Udonis Haslem, James Johnson, Tyler Johnson, Rodney Magruder, Josh McRoberts, Willie Reed, Josh Richardson, Dwyane Wade-less, Zakara White, Hassan Whiteside, Derek Williams, Justice Winslow. Have any of these guys, since this season, done anything since they left the Heat? No. James Johnson's still around. Rodney Magruder's on the Pistons. McRoberts is gone. 36 now. Willie Reed got suspended. Josh Richardson couldn't cut it on the Celtics. Although how lucky they are he couldn't cut it on the Celtics because it landed them Derek freaking White. Unfortunately, Dwyane Wade-less really didn't do much after Miami. That was the end of his glory days. He got there after OKC. He played, unfortunately, 46, 30, and 44 games and 3. Couldn't stay on the court. He'd had some great moments. That crazy game winner, crossing the arms. He did get a title, so good for him. But he could have been a lot better Carl White didn't cut it in the league. Hassan Whiteside, who the hell knows what happened to him? Love Derek Williams, but he didn't make it. None of these guys did. And this collection of talent just never gave up, ever. The amazing, they really didn't make any midseason moves. They just wrote it out. Could have been a lost season. And they ended up the 9 seed in the East. The 9. The Heat finished. And this was the year the Bulls, by the way, took the Celtics to a 2-0 lead before dropping in 6. The Heat would have been in the first round against the Celtics as an 8. Probably wouldn't have gotten anywhere, but they would have made it with this freaking team. Credit. That's the Spoelstra way. That's Heat culture. Eddie Curry and Dexter Pittman. You probably don't know much about their Heat tenures. But what you need to know, these are 2 big guys. You should remember, maybe you remember Dexter Pittman from Texas. He didn't ever really cut it in the NBA. Eddie Curry battled some weight issues in his career, especially after he got paid by the Knicks. Both of these dudes lost some serious weight when they were on the Heat. Greg Oden, fortunately injuries played a part. He lost some weight when he was there. They had the Heat culture. You have to maintain these strict regimens, and that is why all that season is actually a huge reason why the Heat just won Game 2. Think about it. What would Max Strus or Gabe Vincent's role be on another team at the time they got picked up by Miami? They couldn't even get on a team. Haywood Highsmith didn't play Division I basketball. A lot of these guys that don't go D1 never make it to the league. Cavs have had 2 of these guys, obviously one of them being more recently Broderick Thomas, go D2 to the pros. Derek White went D2 to D1 to the pros. Duncan Robinson, D3, D1 to the pros. No one drafted Udonis Haslem. He's still here 20 freaking years later. How many guys play 20 years with one team? Not many. What, Dirk? I think Dirk did it. John Stockton did it. Kobe did it. That's it. That's all I can think of. There might be others. Correct me if I'm wrong. Off the top of my head, that's it. And it doesn't matter that his role's not as big. He's there. He's a huge culture part. He's been through it all with Dwyane and then with Bron, Dwyane, and Bosh and all these guys that have just come up through this system, right? And Kyle Lowry, by the way, look at him. He's going to be in the Hall of Fame. He damn well better be in the Hall of Fame. There's going to be words. But it took him until, his 5th or 6th year to break out in the NBA. He wasn't bad on Memphis, but he wasn't doing much. No one looked at him as the type of guy he turned into. When he got to Toronto, he didn't even start over Jose Calderon. He was battling Goron for minutes, funnily enough, in Houston. Weird times. Weird times. He got to Toronto. Eventually, he just made that his. The half-court playoff shot. The big playoff moments. The two-way standout play. Jimmy Butler. Taken late in the first round. Homeless at times. 1 scholarship offer. Started out at JUCO. Look at him now. Obviously, Bam Adebayo, lottery pick. Kentucky standout. Has been fantastic. A real good defender. And obviously, he hasn't played in the postseason, but Tyler Hero can do a lot of good things for you when he's on the court. They're not built like other teams. And yes, Nikola Jokic was a 41st pick. Michael Porter Jr. is overcoming back problems. KCP is a champ. Bruce Brown was an overlooked guy that the Pistons gave to the Nets. He turned his career around. Jeff Green, 38, rookie Christian Brown. They don't have the same story, though. Aaron Gordon's was a lottery pick, too. He's been in 2 movies. He was the star of the movie Uncle Drew. Dunk Machine. He's been known. These Heat guys really just come out of nowhere. Caleb Martin wasn't exactly bad when he was on the Hornets. You look at his numbers, but he averaged 6 points one year and 5 the next. He played 71 games. Started out on a 2-way in Miami. He's just coming in the postseason, and he's delivered. They got our guy, Kevin Love. Injury to Oladipo was unfortunate, but they just work so hard. Martin only making 2 shots in the series, kind of crazy, but who played all those big minutes down the stretch on an off day while he was sick in that last game? Caleb Martin. All of this to say that you just can't count these guys out. They have our friend Kevin Love, so it's easier to root for them. Of course, it'd be nice to see Jeff Green get a ring too. It's a win-win for that scenario. This has just been such a good postseason. The Heat have always been the underdogs. So why can't you? Sign up for Underdog Fantasy with promo code 216 and they will match your first deposit up to $100. Again, sign up for Underdog Fantasy with promo code 216. They will match your first deposit up to $100. You should be throwing that money on the Heat tonight if you're looking to bet on the game. If you're not, enjoy it for what it is. It's going to be such a good one tonight. And people are still shocked that the Heat won. They talk, and I missed the game live, so I had to rewatch it later. Rewatching, I had the luxury of pausing, rewinding, watching the same thing again and again and again. And some of those key moments in the game, well, Max shoots all of his open misses. End of the first quarter, the lead was 7. And I think end of the first quarter of game 1 matches the end of the third quarter of game 3, where the game either turned or didn't. Nuggets up 7, off a miss. Cody Zeller gets the rebound, and he gets stripped by Jokic, gets smacked by Jokic. Ball comes out, easy layup. 2 points. The lead goes from 7 to 9. Flash ahead, end of the third quarter. Heat offense is cold. They're down 8. It's been a little ugly at times. The Nuggets controlled most of the second and third quarter after the Heat got off to a roaring beginning. Miami gets a defensive stop. The lead stays at 8. Enter the fourth quarter, and Duncan Robinson, mean mug. Don't ask me to mean mug ever again. No one asked me to do that. That is not a good mean mug for those listening on the audio. Thank goodness you didn't see that. Duncan Robinson, mean mugging. Buckets at the basket. Buckets from deep. Again, $18 million a year. Seemed unplayable earlier in the season, and even, the beginning of the playoffs. He stayed ready. Jimmy Neutron stayed ready, although he really is Sheen Estevez. He's Sheen Estevez. He stayed ready. And some days he's been bad. Some days he's been great. And the impressive thing, I believe, Erik Spoelstra knows when to use him and when not to. Maybe the biggest surprise was Game 5 against Boston when he had 9 assists. He only averages 1 a game in the regular season. He's never averaged 2. And bear in mind, he only played 42 games this year. That's being a regular the last 3. He had a game 1 against Boston, he played 7 minutes. Game 6 against Knicks, he played 14. Games 2 and 3, 15 and 22 points. He made 8 threes. He was having an off day in Game 4, so he doesn't play much. Then the rest of the series, 18, 13, 10. Makes his shots, makes some good passes, and he stepped up with 10, 1, 1, 2 steals, and even a block. He doesn't block many shots. Get a block in Game 7. He's there when you need him to be. Duncan McBride Robinson. Williams College to Michigan. Kind of crazy he's already 29. But, dude, he can play. And I'm just going to look quickly through here his playoff series. There's a way I believe you can. The beauty of looking at Basketball Reference, all these great games he had. Duncan Robinson, by the way, why does he get so much money? He's had 8 playoff games of 20 points, 4 games of 7 threes, 10 games of 5. He's made at least 2 threes in 33 of his 58 playoff games. He can play. And by the way, he took 3 DNP CDs against the Sixers last year and another 2 against Boston. And in some of the games he played, he really didn't play much. He is one of the biggest reasons for the series lead. Now, no name in the Heat rotation should be going unspoken about. But I will say, Cody Zeller, get out of the rotation, please. Those should be Haywood Highsmith's minutes. He should be getting consistent run. And kind of crazy, he's only had big minutes in 2 games this postseason. That game against Boston on May 25th, Game 5, 15, 2, 1, and 2. He played most of it. Game 1 against Denver, he scored 18 with 2 steals, 2 rebounds, and a block. He's worked his way into the rotation at times in different roles, but he should be playing more. He got, 12 minutes in game 2 against the Bucks. In a few of the games he got run. He can play. A little bit of everything from him. Get him on the court. Take out Zeller. By the way, on the note of Zeller, shout out Tyler Zeller. The Tyler Zeller bobblehead. Pardon the blur. There it is. Tyler freaking Zeller. Yep, we got it. We got everything in this collection. So, suffice it to say, the Heat are going to win tonight. They're going to win the series in 7 games. We know what Jokic can do. We know what Murray can do. But this all goes back to the 16-17 season. Spoelstra's undermanned. His team stinks. They're 11-30. They turn it around. They get within a half game of the playoffs. Yes, they missed out, but you can't ignore that, what he did on a team that no one had high hopes for. They had no hopes. No one's watching them anymore. They're not going to the games, and if they are, those are hella cheap. They stayed with it, man. These Heat, right now, they don't care who's on the other side. They neutralized Aaron Gordon. They got Michael, possession ends here, Porter, an insane nickname I've seen going around. These guys are struggling. I do expect the over to hit in this game because I expect the Nuggets offense to be a little better at times, and it did score 108 points. But Miami's going to be better than better. They're going to be tops out there. They're not beating the Heat. Sorry, man, but they are not beating the Heat. Oh, the Nuggets are not beating the Heat. Yes. They're going to might not enjoy the weather either. They probably will. That Florida sun in June. Had a lot of rain this week, though. It's going to be fun. Take the Heat tonight. The Nuggets will win games in this series, though. You're not going to win 3 in a row now against Jokic. Now he's got Jamal Murray next to him. It's a squad. But the Heat, the sum of their parts, want it more. Heat culture, baby. It makes a difference. Heat in 7. Zach Weiss. Across the Cavs. Network 216. We'll see you soon. Peace.